power of technology and power of progress, firstly, you cannot stop.
I'm going to start at a very, very broad sort of level with you, a question that sort of I debate on with my friends, the ethics of AI. Where do you stand on this subject, and is it good for humanity, or do we have reason to worry sort of going ahead with AI taking over things?
See, I think first fundamental question in my mind, Roudra, is, power of technology and power of progress, firstly, you cannot stop.
Right.
It's not a choice that we have. Many times we come from a very totalistic view, as if we can wish it away. We can't.
Right.
Now, having said that, I think, a lot of the popular perception is formed from the science fiction and, all sorts of books and movies that, catch public fancy.
So, Minority Report, Terminator, Matrix,
Origin, Dan Brown, and, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But in reality, I think, it's a question of how we harness it, So, I think we can harness it for a lot of good. And in my opinion, it's going to take a long time for any kind of intelligence, artificial intelligence for that matter, to catch up with humans. So, complex decision making where emotions are involved or ethical judgment is involved, computers are far away. All stories are overblown. So, I think we must harness it. Therefore, it gets you more time to, ruminate, reflect over the deeper issues of ethics and, humanity, and therefore do more justice to them.
So, tell me about these three jobs out of the sort of top of your mind that you believe that machines, at least today, are not in a position to take over, at least not only today, but in the next sort of 5 or 10 years.
See, again, so absolutely. think of three jobs that people hate doing. All of us to make a daily living, so people do jobs, and no end, over and over again. So let me take an example. Somebody who processes invoices, it's not a sexy job. It doesn't get you entertained. Every day you get a lot of paper, you call people, you chase them to give you, then you look at the data, you put it in some Excel sheet that goes into your ERP system, you process it, people get checks. It's like a full job of multiple number of people in any average organization. All of that can be done.
And what are those three jobs that you think that will never take over, that cannot be taken over by AI? Never is a big term.
Yeah.
So let's say sort of in our foreseeable future that...
See, firstly I want to say that a complete job will never get taken over or not taken over. So any kind of creative work which requires thinking of things which haven't been done before, absolutely not going away. Anything that requires human empathy, no AI is ever going to do it, right? And anything that requires getting people together, those things are not going to get taken over.
So going to a different sort of subject, influencer marketing. I mean, it's big in the B2C space, consumers. You take it, fashion, cars, etc., gadgets. I mean, it's really big there. Does it work for B2B as well?
Yes, absolutely. So it actually works a lot for B2B, because B2B fundamentally your risk is higher. You're not buying a tube of toothpaste, for example's sake, which goes wrong, you can change it. You're probably buying $1 million software. So you want to be sure, and it's just not your personal decision. You're doing on behalf of your organization. Multiple people are involved, right? So so I'll give you some example. For example, experts in that area, third-party experts work a lot. In our space, view of analysts, view of people who know that, at a deeper level, who are technologists, their view matters a lot. If they say this is a good thing to do, people will AI.
So they are the influencers in this case.
They are big influencers for us. Second level of influencers are people who have been there, done that.
Right.
So for example, if a large company has made that decision and then go back and say, look, this helped me.
So customers are as influencers?
Customers are huge influencers for us. And at the third level, the actual users are a big influencer. So increasingly, a lot of the conversation is getting driven online by peer reviews. So all of that, works a lot for us.
So you work with a lot of startups in your free time. You said UiPath is a startup as well, right? So marketing for startups, what do you think startups are missing when they are largely looking at chasing leads, because, being efficient about the capital is a pressure that they have all the time, right? So what should they be doing? What is your advice out there?
So one thing that I've seen come through, and which I don't have, like a great solution, but the challenge I notice is the startups, by the nature of trying to stay afloat and trying to move forward are always under immense pressure to make revenue. And therefore leads or sales are always top of mind, right? But what tends to get relegated is brand. And typically when they connect, they probably connect with some smaller agencies who tell them this dream of leads or website. It's like putting tail wagging the horse or putting cart before the, horse, right? So I think the brand is the piece that they miss, because you have to give customers, your audience, a reason to come to you. Why should they call you to the party? If that doesn't happen, all the efficiency thing is not going to work, right? And in the case of startup, it can be story of the founders. It can be story of how and why they got there. What was that unique insight? Where do they come from? And what are the, what is their sort of larger, mission to come to this space? So all of those things connect with people emotionally, and people are lot more willing to entertain you, people are a lot more willing to open the doors for you, and they connect with your larger purpose. So they are also more accepting if you miss a beat sometime.
So the passion of the startup, the problem statement, why it
yes, I'm saying the story of the startup, and then expression of this as a brand. It can be expression in terms of how their, simple things like how their logo is done, what's their tagline, what's the color they use, how they express themselves, and so on.
That should be thought of
yes,
very clearly.
PR, that becomes very, very important, both digital and otherwise.
Right.